What was your first full-time job?
My first full-time job was as a canteen manager in an industrial canteen.
CFS.
Yes.
Okay, so you do remember that. Most people do, but I was just curious whether that little stint has remained in your head.
Oh yeah, because I had the trade unionists throwing steel plates at me, so I can never forget that. For those of you who may not know, Harish and I have been friends since our childhood, literally before the time we were even teenagers, I think. And our journeys have intertwined in so many different ways. Harish was responsible for getting me interested in advertising. He was also my first boss when I joined ASP as a trainee account executive. And we have stayed in touch in so many different ways. So I'm really, really thrilled to be able to have this conversation and record it for posterity.
Yeah, so am I, Bhattu, or can I call you Magar?
You can call me anything.
You know, my earliest recollection, for whatever it's worth, is that amongst all the kids who were growing up, you continue to wear shorts for the longest time.
Yes, this is true.
You know, and we used to always wonder why. And behind your back, you know, the discussions amongst the other kids, Rajiv Menon, Jayan, and I, was that maybe, just maybe, you have more hair than the average 14-year-old, and you're trying to be manly about it. But we couldn't figure out why. My explanation was that, you know, you play lots of table tennis, so therefore you have to wear shorts.
And even those shorts were hand-me-downs. My shorts were hand-me-downs from my cousin Santosh.
Yeah, God bless his soul, was an astounding sports person himself, and I think it ran in your DNA. My other recollection, which is not an anecdote, because I don't remember how it came about. I know why it came about, but I don't know how it came about, is that your first nickname was Magar.
Yes.
You remember that? And I know that it came from Rajiv Menon.
Yes.
And Magar was a play on your surname, but
correct.
So now I believe your new sort of takya kalam, so to speak, is so what? But I'm assuming that Rajiv Menon may have found you using but very often in your childhood conversations, possibly.
Possibly.
But I know it came as a play from, you know, we all had nicknames. I think I used to be called Thawa. I must report one thing, that, you know, when we all graduated from playing rubber ball cricket in the compound to playing a little bit more serious cricket when we went to college, and for the first time in my college trials, when I was required to bowl with a season ball, I remember you actually, I don't think you will recall this, but you were the one who taught me how to bowl an outswinger.
Wow.
At which I became eventually very good. I remember you saying, this is the seam position, this is where you pointed, this is how you bowl an in-swinger. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
That's for the outswinger and that's for the in-swinger.
That may have cost you your wicket in a Chaitra versus O&M match in later years. Might
quite
have.
Likely, quite likely.
You know, it's possible. Those were fun days.
My recollection, Harish, is that you used to be a pretty good chess player, or at least you were very passionate about chess.
Yeah, indeed was good. Like you, I was ranked in the juniors in the Bombay State District. I eventually qualified for the Maharashtra selections, at which time my dad gave me one below the ear and said, "Ye khelta rahega to kamayega kabhi. Go look for a job." He was right. There was no income in those days. I was wrong. Yeah. But as a 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, you don't really, you know, understand that. And then eventually I gave up playing competitive chess. And my peer at that time, who was maybe slightly better than I am, but just about a notch better than me, Praveen Thipse, went on to be India's first grandmaster.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I think to me, the life lesson from the younger days is exactly the life lesson that I got from the sports field. It doesn't matter what sports it is.
Yeah.
except to some extent, chess is a game, not a sport. But in almost every sport, and I think in almost every sphere of life, you can only do your best and you can hope for a favorable outcome.
Yes.
But you can never be sure about what the outcome is.
I was going to say pretty much the same thing, which is that sports teaches you how to lose.
Yeah.
And despite that, it also teaches you to enjoy the process and to commit yourself fully and intensely into that process.
Yeah.
And, for me, whether it has been cricket in my childhood or whether it was then basketball in college or table tennis right through my growing up years, I was a above average player, never a great player.
Yeah.
My greatest accomplishment was to take Kamlesh Mehta to 3 games.
You did?
Yes.
That's truly, I took him to 3 points.
And so therefore, we used to lose a lot more than we used to win. And so I think my big life lesson, even when it came to cancer, was, how to lose and yet how to enjoy the process and how to give of yourself and how to lose yourself in the bargain.
I'm not sure I agree with the observation that we are different. Different suggests a divergence in the polarity. I mean, you're north, I'm south. We're two different kinds of people. So let's look at commonalities first.
Yeah.
We both have a deep-rooted passion for sports, not as armchair fans, but as playing people.
Yeah.
We both have an analytical approach towards sport and life.
Yes.
We both share a common background. Our fathers worked for LIC. We lived in the same LIC colony. We are both Bandra boys. Then we both worked together in advertising.
Yes.
I was in my second job. You were in your first job. So there is, what profession you follow is one half of your life in terms of time frame.
Yes.
Typically, people work for 30, 40 years.
Yes.
Your childhood is your second half. And then you're sort of, I won't use the word retired, but let's say your post full-time occupation, whatever you do, is your third phase.
Yeah.
So we shared a childhood.
Yeah.
We shared, albeit maybe only for a year or so, a common workplace. And then we stayed in the same profession for a long time.
Yeah.
I switched out of advertising, but I went into media, which is akin, and did business with the advertising industry. So I think that commonality is what really binds us together. One more thing, we both share a passion for music.
Yes.
You were a very accomplished tabalchi, if I remember right. I think you used to go to the Nikhil Ghosh Academy.
Yes.
Right. I do have a good memory, you must say.
Yes.
That's something.
Yes.
Yeah, so, you played the tabla and you were trained to play the tabla. You have, I think, a deep and abiding interest in all kinds of music. So do I. So there is a lot. I mean, the differences would be the outward differences. You're a calmer person, I'm more volatile. That's obvious to anybody. But I think those are superficial differences.
When you mentioned music, I must tell you this, that in those days, we used to be dependent upon our friends and, people who had access to international music, who would bring in that cherished cassette or that cherished album or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I remember that you were the one who introduced me to 2 bands, which I continue to absolutely adore.
Scarred for life, you mean?
Well, call it that. One is Jethro Tull.
Absolutely.
And the other is Supertramp.
Oh, yeah. Keep batting till you enjoy your batting. And when you decide to hang up the bat and the boots, make sure that you pass that on to as many people as you can. The whole love of life, fair play, because you've always been a fair play player. Fair play, good technique, good intelligence, accept the outcome.
Thank you so much, my friend. Such a delight to have had this conversation.
Thanks, Battu.